I really met this when I started leading a team of evangelists in London. Everybody was massively overworking. And they were unhappy, unhealthy, working on paper 300 hours a month. It was utterly crazy. Their spiritual lives were not great at all, struggling with low-level illness, didn't have time for any family, friend stuff, they weren't Sabbathing. It was just awful. But they got into this arms race, saying more is better. More wasn't better. So as their team leader, I said, listen, it's my responsibility to care for your spiritual lives. The job of the team leader, in my view, is to love the team so well in the Lord that they will never dream about being anywhere else, and to care for the quality of their spiritual lives out of which their ministry flows. So I said to all my folk, listen, I'm going to cut 100 hours out of your diary every month by Christmas, and they all grumbled and said, well, you can't do it in that amount of time. But I was a bit draconian about it and insisted on it. And what we did instead in our team was we decided that rather than encouraging each other just to more and more and more, or at least on paper so it looked good, because there was some of that, we would encourage each other to greater and greater spiritual healthiness instead. It would be a different kind of arms race. And a term later, everybody was so much happier and healthier and more recovered. And I've got to tell you that the fruitfulness of the ministry went through the roof. What had happened previously was that they had all met the law of diminishing returns. And they were doing more and more and more with less and less and less output. Why? Because they had a view that the need was infinite and that they needed to meet it. But also because it was competitive. If I don't do this, then the pastor down the road, who is a bit more performative, is going to pick up my people instead. People want loads and loads of dramatic activities, not people who are just prayerful in the presence of God. I want to say it's just wrong metrics. It's taking something, when you're unable to tell what's important, you take what you can measure and try to turn it into what's important. And that only ever leads to an inflationary spiral in ministries. Now, the thing we learned in those days was this. We were all appallingly bad at doing it for ourselves. We had to have other people do it for us. My team had to have me as their team leader do it for them. I have seen many situations now where if the team leader is, in inverted commas, the most high-capacity person, who assumes that everybody else can or should work to their fantasy picture of their outside edge capacity, or their fantasy picture of their favourite missionary's outside edge capacity in a missionary biography, what happens is that spiritual debilitation dominoes through the entire team because everybody cracks under the strain. And when you see leaders getting through far too many other members of staff too quickly, that is a really good question to ask about what's going on there. Generally speaking, if the main leader is the highest capacity person who says everybody should be delivering what I deliver, as opposed to my job is the health of the team, I expect to see things go wrong.